Okay. All right. How many people we got? We got Glenn, Mingle Moment. Okay. There are people starting to get in. All right. All right. Okay.
Technological consultant for Everrock LLC. And I have partnered with me the great Gilliam Kloof, and he can introduce himself.
Yeah. Yes. As my lovely partner Kristen Smith said, I'm Guillaume Clou, and I'm from the company Create Apps here. I'm the owner, founder, and I'm the driving force behind Create Apps here. We develop websites and apps, and other than that, we also provide some consulting. And consulting, that's where Kristen comes in because she is really, truly amazing when it comes to aligning tech with business. And Kristen, let them know what you're doing.
Yeah, so for the most part, as of right now, I work with entrepreneurs, small to mid-sized businesses, and what I help them do is pretty much.
Hey, uh, Kristen, you fell off there. Yeah, I think Kristen fell off just a little bit. Yeah, but Kristen is really, really the best at truly figuring out, okay, how can I align my tech with all of the business points that I want to actually the business goals that I want to reach, and that's pretty much what she does, and she does that at a really, really she does it really phenomenal when it comes to apps, when it comes to websites, and that's what where her skill is to really see the requirements that the clients need, and that's how she actually adds value to her clients. Just waiting to see, waiting for her to come back on.
Technology is not meant to be perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I just told everybody that you're really good at bringing the business folks and the tech nerds and tech developers all in one room and letting everybody walk out the same door and being completely aligned.
And that's the purpose, of our mission. And, I think at the end of the day, people don't realize that business and technology are really a new marriage. If you look at technology as the groom and if you look at business as the bride, they have to come together to work cohesively to make sure everything is on the up and up. But, enough about that. I know you all want to know and hear what you really came here for. So let's go ahead, and get into it. So, of course, this evening, as you saw through all of the promotional information and such, that we're talking about app development. I don't know anybody who's currently watching or listening who wants to build the app, has no clue how to do it from the business or technical side. And that is definitely something that we are looking to share with you today. So if you are currently watching and you actually have your Twitter followers and your Facebook followers, tweet this to them to let them know about this blab and let them know that this is some really great, valuable information. Considerably, it's a Friday night and you could be a million other places, but we thank you for truly being here with us this evening. So let's go ahead and get on to the business tips on developing an app. So when you think about, the app market, apps, are growing constantly every day. Apple reported on iTunes that probably earlier this year they created or grew their sold their 1 billionth app, which means that it's definitely, an industry that is always, available and always eager from different perspectives. But when you think about your app, think about it from a standpoint of it being your mobile business card. Your website is like your regular business card, but your mobile app is more so your mobile business card. When people see it, they're able to connect with you, your product, your services, and it's something a little bit more easily attainable. A lot of people, yes, websites are great. A lot of people want something that is quick and instantaneous. So that's where the app serves you very well, especially for your industry, regardless of what it may be. So, we're here to talk about, the 5 best tips and tools that you can use to, create, your app, and not only from the business side, but also the technical side as well. So the first thing that, we can focus on is really thinking about the first tip we will share tonight is focusing in on the market you want to reach. When you think about the markets are very saturated regardless of your industry. But you think about your market research being very important because of the fact that it helps you reach your target customer or your client. When you think about your client, think about your ultimate client. What would you want them to look like? What would you want them to be? What kind of business would you want them to run? All of these things are key information and they're very, very important. So focusing in on the market is very important. I'm currently based in the US and, Gilliam is based in Amsterdam. And I know for me in this market here, it's important to really determine versus, dealing with an app company that's in New York versus Atlanta versus, Dallas, Texas versus other places, things of that nature. So Gilliam, talk a little bit about market research from an international level. I know, you being in Amsterdam, it's very, very important.
Yeah, it's definitely very important. Because everywhere the market is different, the customers are different, clients are different. So it's pretty much you can say the European style versus the American style. But when it comes to app development, it all starts with trying to solve a problem. And once you know that, okay, I want to solve this problem, then you start looking at, okay, I want to solve it through an app. That's your solution. And then you start digging into, okay, this is my solution, and this is the solution I thought of. And are there other people that are dealing with this problem? On just like what you said, is that you need to set up a customer profile where you actually truly know, okay, the people that are dealing with this type of problem are maybe from Amsterdam or they're from New York, they're from Atlanta, and all of them have one thing in common. All of them have Android phones, for example, and that's pretty much what it all comes down to. Which value are you adding to the users, to the customers? And yeah, that's basically how it starts. And Kristen is really on point on that, and that's her business side.
Yeah, and that all of that information is very important, and the reason being is because like Gillian was saying, you always want to make sure that your solution is solving someone's problem, and if you can do it from an app sense, it's great because you can do something that's easily obtainable, an easy MVP. And when people don't understand MVP as a minimal valuable product, it's basically something that startups use to pretty much create something that deals with proof of concept. But for the most part, that information is truly important. So focusing in on the research for your market is so, so important. And that actually brings us into number 2. Think about hiring an app developer that has a reputable portfolio and a reputable reputation. At the end of the day, you have a lot of people that say that they can build apps, but have you seen their portfolio? Do you know people that they work with? Are you able to talk with previous, current, clients of theirs that have done work for them and that they can explain to you, yes, this is what such and such has done. They did a great job. No, they haven't. Take all that information, and make that key, because that's really important when you think about that. And, Gilliam, I know that you have a ton of things with that, especially with Create Apps here. I know that about, really dealing with, finding a reputable app designer. I mean, you're one yourself, the market, you understand the products,
Yeah.
Let people know how important that is, not even from a technical side, but from a business side, from a solution side as well.
Yeah. See, the way that goes is that when people start with their idea, the problem that they want to solve, they come up with, okay, I want to develop this app, and the next step would be, okay, I have, maybe if that person already has a company, developer. And that's where things kind of get truly interesting, because especially when it comes to app development, a lot of the names that you see in the app store, this app developed by this company, it's usually not the name that you see that actually developed the app, because she's the biz techpreneur. then in the App Store, in iTunes Store, you see the name BizTechpreneur, but I was the one that developed it, did all the hard coding. So with developers, that's one thing that truly needs to be considered. And you would probably think right now, okay, but how do I know? Because then people can just really, really sell me anything. Where it gets interesting is that you kind of need to know the expertise level of the developer. Does he really know what he's talking about? For example, when you go for to talk with a developer, uh, but before you start talking, depending on how interesting your idea is, set up an NDA and maybe also NCA. NDA is a non-disclosure agreement for the ones that don't know, and NCA, non-competition agreement, so that you're pretty sure that that the developer can't really take your idea and run with it. And from
Right.
that point on, you kind of quiz the developer on, okay, this is the idea I have. What are the critical factors that I need to consider when wanting to execute and launch this app? If he doesn't know within 5 minutes with you talking about your idea what the critical points are of your concept, then he can't go in depth of what it is that you want to accomplish. Then I wouldn't say dismiss him, but I would be a bit more skeptic after that. And from that point on, you can start quizzing him on, okay, what would be the success factors that we can base on this? And success factors he should really know. For example, um, let's say it's an app with sensitive information, then one thing that's truly important is the encryption. When
Mhm.
could it be really something that yeah, this is a success because nobody hacked it within the first 6 months. Like that is a success factor because nobody could hack it. Or thinking of functionality, how many times did the app crash when 1,000 users used the app? So those are things that you really need to consider when getting a developer in-house and also outsourcing it. And that's what Kristen was kind of going on with when it comes to the developer themselves.
Yeah, and Gilliam has some excellent points. Just to piggyback of what he was saying about sensitive information. If you're working for in the healthcare industry and you're dealing with HIPAA information, that is so sensitive. And from a business standpoint, it's very interesting to really understand how that process works. But you got to think about all your proprietary agreements, like you said, your NDAs, your NCA. It's a lot that comes with that. So just keep all of that information in mind. Well, thank you, Brooke. I see that you're a software developer. That's awesome. And yeah, startups are really, really great. So, thank you for joining us tonight. For the most part, when it comes to the next thing, I want to talk about beta testing with a small group. And, when you think about that from a business standpoint, you think about, how your target market will really welcome your app. How will they really engage in it? What kind of metrics will you see from it? And, I'm not a developer. I'm on the business side. And when I look at that, like I said, I'm looking at data all day. So any analytics, anything that I can measure, I'm looking at that number. I'm looking to see, how that could help growth. I'm looking to see all of those things. So, Gilliam, how has beta testing for you when you've, created apps, how does that work for you? Because I'm looking at it from the number side and I just want to know about the numbers. Like, are they reaching
Yeah.
my clients market? Are they, engaging with them? What tweaks need to change? How has that worked out for you?
Yeah, when it comes to, I'll take the example from Alan Leckler. He wants to develop an app to cook pizza. Look, let's say we kind of go for an app that actually does pizza, develops or cooks pizza. Then the way that we test that is there's usually a framework that app developers have, and that is to, like you previously said, we identify the critical factors of the app. What is critical from the technical point as in, okay, does it require data from a server to be pulled uh, to, to, to the app itself? What is actually really critical? It's critical information. So in the case of doing the pizza, really cooking a pizza, then we would look at, okay, some really important information would be the functionality. Because if it doesn't function right, then maybe, let's say, the timer of the app doesn't function well, then you get a burnt pizza, um, and things like that. So when it comes to testing, there's a framework, a structure of a test plan. And then there are certain test scenarios that we set up. You can almost see those as case studies. Whereas, okay, if we're looking at functionality, if somebody is not, she doesn't have a good eyesight, then we need to look at, okay, then the app needs to have big numbers. The buttons need to be bigger. And then you look at the review of the test cases. Okay, in this test case, a lot of people press couldn't press the button because I don't know, they had grease on their hands or something like that. So then you start thinking of, okay, how can we counter on that? And then you test it again, and then you look at, okay, it's truly working right now. And the biggest thing that people need to consider with testing apps is that you kind of need to, you can't test the app yourself because you're actually biased. Because once the app is finished, you are truly uh, you are truly happy that, okay, it's finished. Yes, we have a great product. So you're biased already. So you can't really say, um, this app's going to be good. This app's going to this app is great. But let somebody else test the app that has nothing to do with the idea, and then you get an honest opinion. So that is pretty much how the testing looks like, the testing scene looks like. And from there, you can go even more in depth by testing it on various devices, especially on Android. A lot of Samsung and yeah, a lot of phones have Android, but the screen resolution is different and things like that. So that's the testing of of the whole app development thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and that whole process, to be quite honest, is very interesting and very tedious. Like, I would love to learn app development, but as much as I love technology, I'm just like, whew, that's a lot for me. So I think I would leave that part to Gilliam, to be very, very frank and transparent. But after you think about beta testing and working with a small focus group. Oh, Alan, thanks for it's unfortunate you have to go, but you're welcome. Check out the replay. And when you think about the next tip, I would say is determining your price-based structure. This is where I'm going to talk numbers, and this is why. When you're making an app, everybody's intention and goal is to not only promote awareness for their product or services, but at the same time, you want to make some sort of revenue off of the app. And when you think about the different pricing models, there are a few different ways that you can go about it. For example, if at the end that you want to create a free app, but okay, how am I still going to make money off of this app? Think about how your price structure should really look. If you're creating a free app, have in-app purchases. Maybe if they were just 99 cents, per in-app purchase, or how many things that you want to bundle. Think about it from that standpoint. Or if you're coming with a paid app, are you going to make it to a good price point where you're still competitive within your market, yet you're still able to, create revenue from this app? And when you think about the price structure, it's really, really important because you're determining that on your market and on your competition. So let's say, for instance, I'll use Gilliam and myself as an example. So Gilliam and I, we both sell cars. And, I'm thinking, I haven't been in the app market yet. His app has been in the market. It's called Mobile Cars. It's been in the market for a year. I watched his pricing based structure. He started off with a free app. did in-app purchases, and he decided to take away the light version and just go with a full premium pay version for $3.99. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint like, okay, he was already the first to go to market with this mobile card concept. So from there, I'm thinking, okay, what can I do to, segregate what he's doing with his customers and make them come and see me and see my app, and for what reason? So I'm going to think about my pricing structure. Okay, he did the free one, did the light version, did some in-apps. That seemed to work with him because he started getting about 50,000 downloads within like the first week. Let me possibly try that. However, I also want to think about, we might have two different clients too. So will my clients and customers or my fans think, okay, she's giving away a light app for free, would that devalue my brand or business? So all of these things you want to take into consideration. So you want to think about all these things when it comes to pricing structure. And you want to think and take away from it, what is your vision for your business and what is your vision for your business model? How is that going to affect you reaching your target market? How is that going to affect you understanding the revenue side, of apps and app development? Because you have to take into consideration all costs. You got to pay your app developer unless you are one yourself, and depending on what type of app do you want something simplistic? And Gillian's Face can tell you, everything. Like, it's like, if you build a simple app, you're going to pay, a simple price, but you're paying also at the same time for this developer to create something that's going to match your business model and your vision. Then think about, all the inclusive things you wanted. If you want pop-ups, if you want additional, all these things add up. So you want to make sure that they're reaching your target market and your target clients. So, Gillian, what do you think about that when people come to you and tell you what their budgets are for apps that they want you to build, and then when they tell you about their vision? Because sometimes they don't always coincide.
No, they don't. They don't. And that's a pretty good point because there are various options when it comes to app development. You can either develop an app native or you can develop it cross-platform. Native would be when you develop the app per platform. So if you want to have the app developed for iOS, that's Apple platform, then you start coding for that platform. And if you also want to go Android, you start coding once again for Android. Cross-platform is almost like one size fits all, and where you kind of truly code one time, and it's the app is ready for Android, iOS, and sometimes even Windows platform. The thing is that for cross-platform, it becomes, of course, cheaper because you only code once, and native is automatically more expensive because you have to develop and start coding every time you want to go to a new platform. The trade-off is actually in quality, although cross-platform is evolving and starting to close a lot of you can say holes in there in the one size fits all model. But when it comes to critical sensitive information, we still always advise people to go native, because native is really that suit that fits just right, where people see you in that suit and they think you're a model from Italy, like boom, fashion, you are A-okay, fine, perfect, while a cross-platform is the one you get from Marshalls, where the suit is maybe really baggy, or so something like that.
Something not appealing.
Pretty much. So that's how that is, and that's the development side. When it comes to actually generating revenue from your app, just like Kirsten said, you can either just price your app. Okay, it's $3.99 for this app, or you can say we have a basic version and we have a pro version. If you want X and Y features, then you have to pay for the pro version. Other than that, it's something that I'm seeing more and more at my current clients, is that people start to work together with other companies, and the advertising of that is what's really present in that model. For example, having a sports app and having NBA advertisements there. And that's
Mm-hmm.
also a model because then the NBA team or teams start paying you to advertise through your app. So there are a few models where you can actually generate revenue from your app. And I wouldn't say to really close your vision in just these models that we name, but be creative because in most cases, us developers, we develop what you come up with. So
Absolutely.
if somebody comes up with something creative, then we're more like, hey, that is actually very interesting. And before you know it, that's the next trend. That's the next standard.
Right.
And just as an example, a lot of the great app ideas came from somebody that wasn't even technical. So so that's how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I would totally agree with everything that Gilliam just said. I think that, all of that is so important and phenomenal, which leads me to our final point, launching your product. So we're going to split this up between if you're in code and development, which I know a little bit about code, think of me as the front end and Gilliam is the back end. So, but I'm not talking about the technical front end. I'm talking about the business front end, launching your product, making sure that advertising, like Gilliam was saying, is in place, marketing is in place. How is your newsletter campaign in place? Are you making sure that you're promoting to the right channels? Are you having guest bloggers or local YouTubers who might be really techies, talking about your feature because they've premiered and you let them test out a native app. All of that is more so very, very important for launching your product. And launching any product, it takes strategy. And this strategy should technically be executed, to be very frank, 1 to 3 months before you are launching this product. Because the shorter end of the time that you think about launching it and you don't have a strategy in place, there's so many key elements in the business world that you could be missing. You could be missing out on acquiring more customers for your market by not utilizing lead pages. You could be acquiring, more people if you decided to do SMS marketing to say, hey, check it out. New app is coming soon. Sign up for the newsletter to, stay in tune. Check us out on social media, all of these things. So all of these things to me on the front business end are very, very important. But just as the front end is important, the back end is important too. So Gilliam, explain to them a little bit about the back end dealing with the infrastructure, especially when it's time to finally launch your app.
Yeah, when it comes to developing the app is one thing. And once there's the app is developed, from that point on, you go into the testing, which we talked about. Once you have a prototype, that's when you kind of step into, okay, we need to put it in the app stores. For Android, it's actually really easy, really simple. But I would suggest that you read into the guidelines of the Google Play Store to see what you need to consider, because right now you also have the wearables to consider. Then they'll ask you questions like, okay, is this also applicable for wearables? And for which countries should the app be available for? And things like that. What a lot of people also don't know is that besides the Google Play Store and the iTunes Store, there are also other app stores. Like in China, you have a lot of other app stores where you can also place your app, and it's pretty much the same. Where you actually go through, you submit the SDK, the APK file, and you kind of go through the checklist of, okay, this is where I want my app to appear. You set up a profile for the app itself. You put a few screenshots, and then you kind of hope that it gets approved. If you're a great developer, then it's almost like you don't have to worry too much. Then it's good. And with Google Play, it'll be good within 3 hours max, maybe 6, but that's really if it's a complex app, but really, really quick. when it comes to Apple, the iTunes store, it can get really, really, yeah, it can get a bit stressful because once you submit it in the iTunes store, you fill in the questions, where it needs to be available, wearables, yes, no. Uh, Apple is really stringent on the rules and regulations on your app. Just to give you an example, if your app, for example, isn't very, if it doesn't require too much interaction with the user, you can forget it. It'll get denied access to the iTunes store. You need at least 50% of the features to be interacting with the user before it gets approved. So with interacting, I mean, let's say you have an app with most of the buttons that are in it, they actually refer to a website, or they open up another website, or you just click a button and you just get a picture, like something really low tech. If you submit it then, with Apple, it's almost like 2 weeks is the minimum that you wait for it to get approved. Then you wait 2 weeks and then you hear no. Then you get a list of things that you need to take care of, need to adjust, as in, yeah, this wasn't good, that wasn't good. And at Apple, they're really, really, really strict on those things. But that doesn't need to discourage you. That just puts you more on your A game, because then you really need to look at user app interaction. You really look at the color combination. You look at all those things to actually improve your app. So those are the most of the technical things that you really need to consider when going over the launch of your app. And once it gets approved and everything, you only need to consider the policy changes then, because there always be a new wearable coming out, the iPad 6 or 7 that's coming out. So those are the things that you'll have to monitor if you're a developer, or if you're a business and you get that email from Apple Development Care Center that, hey, your app, this and this files need to be updated because X, Y, and Z. So those are the things that you get after you launch your app.
Yeah, most definitely. And everything that Gilliam said, I can attest from it. And just, the key thing from the business side of it is just making sure that you keep up with the paper trail, making sure that you're answering these emails when they come through, because, when they come through, they will, and they want you to be specific. Yeah. They want you to take care of everything. And you want to make sure that your customers are getting this app and it's going to your clients and to your target market. So do whatever it is that is necessary to take care of your due diligence so that you can go ahead and, launch your app into these multiple app stores and go ahead and get your product and services out there. So, if you're just catching in on the replay, once again, my name is Kristen Smith. I am a biz techpreneur, which is an entrepreneur well-versed in business and technology. I am the CEO and chief technology consultant of Everrock LLC. And with me on Blab tonight, I have Gilliam Kloof, and he's from createappshere.com. And we're talking about, 5 tips for, app strategy. So I'm going to restate these 5 tips. We're going to give you a little bit of great information, and we got a nice little freemium for you for paying attention today. So the 5 tips again, once our first tip for, your app development strategy is focusing in on the market you want to reach. That's number 1. Number 2, researching and interviewing a reputable app developer with a reputable portfolio. I cannot make that, more and more of a focal point.
Really think about it.
Exactly. The third tip would be more so, beta testing with a small focus group. And, that's very important too, because it helps you figure out the kinks and everything you knew before you actually, go to step 5, which we're not at yet because we're getting ready to go to step 4. So tip 4 will be more so thinking about your price structure. Making sure that it aligns with your vision for your business and your model. And then the final one is actually launching your app. And like I said, from the front end, think about it as a business standpoint. And from the back end, think about the infrastructure. So these are the 5 tips that, Gilliam and I came together with and we thought were great from the business and technical side about what's a really good strategy to develop an app. So we're going to let you know about, you know, a nice little freemium. Gilliam will tell you about that for you paying attention to and just, you know, tuning in with us today on our blab. About the freemium, he should be putting the link up in a
Yeah,
second.
just a sec.
Just a sec. And
Yeah.
it's a great resource too. I think that it could be really, really helpful to a lot of people. Gore Lacar, Dennis Butler, Don Peterson, thank you for joining. You can definitely catch things on the replay, but thank you for your presence. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just putting up the link right now so that people can actually go ahead and download what we got for them. And
Yes.
Kristen and I, we're working together because we truly believe that combining the tech and the business together, that can actually bring a lot of success to any business. Because once you truly put that in line with one another, you can set whatever goal, the tech part, if that is in line with business, you'll reach it. It's only a matter
Yes.
of time. Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So, Gilliam, let them know, you know, where you can where they can contact you at, you know, your website, social media channels. Let them know where they can reach out to you.
Yeah. I'm pretty much right here on Twitter at Create Apps Here. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can just catch my name if you can spell it though. You can catch me on LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn we also have our company Create Apps Here. We're on Google Plus, YouTube, so and even on Facebook. Facebook just Create Apps Here.
Okay. Nice.
And we're working together with Kristen. She's amazing so far. I can truly say she knows what she's talking about. And yeah, she's not just hype. She actually knows what she's talking about.
Yeah,
So
there's a difference between
really
that.
really get with Kristen also on the business side. And
Yeah,
where
so
can we
you can
reach
actually
you?
reach me. Yeah, you can actually reach me. I just launched my site today because I was up like all this week and my life has been crazy. Gilliam knows the in and outs of my week. But you can reach me at biztechpreneur.co. That's biz, B-I-Z, techpreneur, all one word, .co. And you can actually reach me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Biz Techpreneur. I'm not sure why I was having some issues with Blab logging in under that name, but Kristen Smith is my personal handle. But if you search for me on Twitter and Instagram under Biz Techpreneur, you will see me still pop up, and that's great. So we want to thank each and every one of you for, you know, tuning in with us tonight. We have a lot of great blabs over the month of November. We are very excited, you know, about our new partnership and definitely about bringing business and technology together. So thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. Once again, the freemium is in the messages, and we hope to talk with you guys soon. Have a great evening and enjoy the rest of your Friday night, guys.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hope we helped you.